Alright guys, welcome back to a Plan With Me video. This is the first monthly Plan With Me that I'm doing in my new Erin Condren life planner. Super exciting. So for this month's theme, I am doing Teen Wolf. This is a lot of drawing and stuff for me. Oh my gosh, do you hear that? I don't know if you guys can hear the bird or not, but she's going crazy down there. Anyway, so this was a lot of drawing, more than I normally do for a Plan With Me, but I really wanted to just do like a bunch of symbols and designs and stuff that really just represented different characters and stuff like that. So that's kind of how this video is going to go. So I am doing a front cover page. I didn't put like the month on it. I just did like a cover page. So the cover page for this Teen Wolf inspired theme is like the moon with a silhouette of a wolf in it, for obvious reasons, and then the two lacrosse sticks in the back in that kind of like maroonish color, which is the color of their jerseys, the lacrosse jerseys in the show. So I'm just gonna kind of let you guys just watch and enjoy, I guess. Alright, so next up is this dot grid page that I am currently using for like journaling type of stuff. I've found that I really like just like having this page with a little journal prompt and just writing a little something, just because I'm not big on journaling, but I feel like it is helpful every once in a while. And you'll notice each page is a different character. So this is Coach. Coach is one of my favorite characters from the entire show. He's just absolutely hilarious. So I have his whistle, and almost every page has like a little quote or something that like the character has said. So he's got the "That's my boy" down there. And then my journal prompt for this month is, if I had $10,000, what would I do with it? So yeah, that's my prompt for October. I know this is going up in November, I apologize, but you could do this any month. Same with the theme, you could do Teen Wolf any month because it's not really October specific. So moving on to the little dashboard page. This is Jackson's page. I know Jackson was kind of like early in the show, and then he was gone for a while and he came back at the very, very end. So yeah, this is his page. I've got his key, which was pretty significant, with him and Lydia. And basically the way I use this dashboard is my monthly goals, a little self-care section, and in that big block I'm going to put a verse of the month. I couldn't remember which verse I wanted to use, so I have it blank right now. And then down below is like a little habit tracker, and Jackson's quote is, "Where are you getting your juice?" I just thought that one was so funny. If you guys remember the scenes, it was early on, right after Scott had just become a wolf and crazy things were happening to him, and Jackson thought he was on steroids basically. So yeah, and then I'm just doing some like purple coloring in there because I feel like that was kind of the color of the canimal. It was kind of like a reptile, like purpley green thing. So yeah, that is Jackson. Moving on to the monthly spread, I did Scott McCall for the monthly spread just because it's like 2 pages, so I could do, 2 pages for Scott, because I would say he's obviously one of the most significant characters of the entire show, so he's getting 2 pages. Starting off with his tattoo / pack symbol, which is the little like double ring thing. In hindsight, after I did it, I kind of wish I would have made the center ring a lot thicker. It was way too thin compared to the outer ring, but what can you do? Also, I'm doing pretty much all of this using my Prisma Colors. I was really excited to just kind of break out my colored pencils for the first time in quite some time, so that's what I'm using. Obviously, you can just use normal colored pencils, or you could do it all in pen and marker, but I wanted to do the colored pencil because I feel like it'd be easier to write on top of the colored pencil. So that is what I'm doing here. I'm just making his little pack symbol. And now down here I'm going to do another lacrosse stick because I feel like lacrosse was pretty significant for his character. And then his quote is, "You're not a monster, you're a werewolf." I think we can all agree that was a pretty significant Scott McCall quote. My goodness. Alright, so up here at the top, I'm just doing some like red and black, just little red-black action here. I did this on a couple characters' pages. It's just representative of the color of their eyes. I feel like, obviously, Scott's color of his eyes was very significant of him, becoming a true alpha and all that stuff. So that is what I have up at the top, and then at the very, very top, I'm just going to write true alpha because, obviously, that was a very significant portion of the show, him becoming a true alpha and building his pack and stuff like that, and remaining, a good person the entire time. So I wanted to include that up there as well. Alright, moving on to our first set of weeklies here. Each side is going to be a different character, and I tried to kind of pair the characters in a way that made sense. So first up we have Styles and Lydia. If you watch the show, obviously you know why I put them together. So I'm doing his Jeep down at the bottom. I didn't do anything too crazy because, I'd say I'm decently good at drawing, but I didn't really feel like taking the time to draw a super detailed Jeep, so it looks like a Jeep enough to pass as a Jeep, and you know what it is because obviously it's blue with the black doors. So Styles' Jeep, and then I'm gonna do red lines going across the page, which is pretty representative of him and his detective skills and his I don't even know what those things are called, the big boards where they're mapping out their investigation and stuff like that. So the lines, I feel like that's pretty significant for his character. And then up at the top, his quote is, "Remember that I love you." That was in the last season or the 6A season, I think, if I'm correct, before he's taken. And then moving on to Lydia, her quote is, "Not all monsters do monstrous things." I really like that one. And then up at the top, I'm just writing Banshee. I feel like, that scene where, what's her face, the psycho teacher who's actually the dark druid is like, "You're a Banshee, the wailing woman, blah, blah, blah." So that's kind of where she really, realized who she was and what she was. So that's up at the top, and then down in the bottom is the Nemeton, the picture that she kept drawing in I think season 3, and I did that one because I just feel like it was pretty significant of her kind of discovering her abilities and learning what she's supposed to be doing type of thing. So that is Lydia's page, and like I said, obviously we all know why I put Styles and Lydia together, because they're just perfect together. So next up is Allison and Leahy. Allison, obviously one of the most beloved characters, I would say, of the entire show. Every time I watch the episode where she dies, it is the saddest thing ever. Even though I know it's gonna happen, it still gets me every time. So I'm starting off for her with the bow and arrow, just I feel like pretty significant of her character, and who she eventually becomes in the show, really like honing in on her skill and stuff like that. So up at the top I have, remember when they are writing on the bookshelf for senior year and Scott writes his initials with her initials, so I put that up at the top, and then down at the bottom, her quote is when she redefines their mission statement, I guess, the hunter's mission statement, which is we protect those who cannot protect themselves. I thought that was pretty significant of her and her father, who he eventually becomes throughout the rest of the show. Definitely a true ally for Scott's pack and everything. So that is Allison's page. Super happy with how that one turned out. Now on to Leahy's page. I feel like he wasn't in the show for super long, but he's still one of my favorite characters, so I just had to include him. And I did his last name at the top because, Coach was just always calling him Leahy, so I went with his last name up at the top. And then his quote was, well, I'm a little bummed about being a fugitive, but other than that, I'm great. So that was his quote. And then I also did his jersey number. I feel like I said, he wasn't in the show for very long, so I didn't really have too much, but he was also one of my favorite characters while he was in the show, so I really wanted to include him. And his relationship with Allison, I would say, was pretty significant at the end of his time and her time on the show, so I wanted to include him as well. Alright, moving on to our Were Coyote Miss Malia. I included her, supernatural, whatever she's called, she's called Were Coyote. I included that because I just feel like it was different than like just being a werewolf, just like the Canema and the Banshee, so I wanted to include that up at the top. And her quote is, I would never leave without you. It was from one of the seasons where they were still kind of getting her adjusted to life in high school and all that stuff, and she was still transitioning out of her very primal, animalistic ways, I would say. And then I included some blue on there because of her eye color, and her eyes were just always beautiful, and she had that beautiful blue werewolf eyes, so I included that. On to our kitsune. I did a sword for hers, and I wrote kitsune up at the top again because I thought, just she was a different supernatural creature. Her quote was, I don't want to hurt anyone, especially you, which she says to Scott, I believe, when she is like kind of the kitsune is kind of taking over within her. And then I have the sword, and behind that I'm gonna draw some like lightning, and I wanted to do that because obviously she like can do stuff with like electricity, so I thought that was pretty significant and I wanted to include it. And then on to Derek's page, I wanted to do Derek obviously because he's one of my favorite characters from the show and his character development is amazing. And then I did Brayden next to him because Brayden is one of my faves. So the main part of his page is going to be the Triskelay, just because I feel like that's pretty significant for him and his family. I mean, he's got it tattooed on his back. So yeah, I wanted to do that. as his like kind of symbol to represent him. And then Derek's quote is, "I'm a predator, but I don't have to be a killer." Pretty significant, I would say, of his character development throughout the show, as he kind of learns from Scott about how he can, do good things even though he's a pretty monstrous creature. And then also I included the blue for his eyes because the color of his eyes ends up being very significant in, what was it, like season 4 or something like that, when Kate like transforms him back to being young Derek, so I wanted to include that. And then next up is Brayden. I know she's not like super significant, I would say, out of some of the other characters, but she is one of my favorite ones to watch on the show, and then her relationship with Derek is just absolutely beautiful. And her quote is, "I'm not gonna let you die." I can't remember what season that's in, but it's the one with Kate when he had like turned him back when Kate turned Derek back to being young, and it was like the very end of the season, and Derek was like almost dying. And then I just drew the 3 like slash marks, the scar on her neck, because I feel like that's pretty significant for her. It's pretty representative of her. So yeah, on to the very last spread. This is the monthly budget. It's not based around any character because I really just need it to be my monthly budget. Super duper simple, just a spot for income where I can tally up the total between working at my part-time job and then my side hustle of babysitting. And then I have a little tracker for my expenses, how much I'd like to spend, and I can fill in those bars. And then at the very end of the month, I can write exactly how much I did spend, whether it was over or under that amount that I wanted. And then at the very bottom is just a little savings and debt tracker, so I can keep track of how much I moved to my savings account and how much money I paid on my credit card, which, should be more than I probably paid, but it's fine. And then I'm just going in with the blues and the reds, just to kind of tie in the theme a little bit without being like too crazy and having like a lot going on. And now for the final flip through. I really hope you guys liked this Teen Wolf inspired plan with me. Please comment down below which Teen Wolf characters you guys would have included. I wish I would have had enough room to include Liam. I feel like obviously he was pretty significant, and Cody Christian's character, just because I love Cody Christian. But yeah, comment down below which characters you guys would have liked to have included, and definitely subscribe so you don't miss November's plan with me, which will actually be coming out very shortly since I'm getting this one out super late. I apologize, but what's new, I'm always late, right? So yeah, I really hope you guys like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you guys in my next one. Peace.